Great, Jason Warrelmann here, healthcare leader at UiPath, coming to you from day 2 of HIMSS. And with me today, I have Jeff Hatfield, who I've known for a long time.
Yeah, thank you.
And Jeff is with Ashling Partners. And Jeff, why don't you tell a little bit about who you are, what you do, and really Ashling Partners as a whole.
Sure, yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us here, and I appreciate it. I always like to kind of share our story and our vision and what we're trying to do to help the industry. I lead within Ashling Partners. I lead Ashling Health, and that is our vertical that we built out. Jason and I started building out the healthcare vertical at UiPath years ago, and so it was a natural segue over to Ashling to take on the implementation side of that, leveraging the full stack of the UiPath platform. So it's been fantastic. My background in healthcare, for a long time. Started out in data, progressed to analytics, then started getting into automation. Jason and I had worked prior to this in some other healthcare companies, and so when he landed at UiPath, it really piqued my attention, and I found their platform to be probably the best. I feel like the best, especially in the healthcare space. So that was a huge benefit for us. Now what we're doing is working with a lot of providers and payers, all shapes and sizes, all across the country. And we're really focused on delivering the right kind of value. We look at what kind of problems and challenges they're having. We develop the solution, and then we go to the UiPath platform and say, okay, what pieces of this are going to come together to make that the best solution? Our goal is to pre-build enough of healthcare solutions that we can take that out much more quickly to the broader market.
Amazing. Accelerate, right?
Exactly.
Accelerate.
Yes.
I always like to use a reference of automation as really being virtual employees, which it really is. If you go in the market and try to hire a clinician, you're not going to take an undergrad out of college and expect them to be a nurse.
Exactly. Right.
With automation, you can kind of think of it the same way. Now, you can teach that robot to be a nurse, for sure. It has a life cycle, and there's value in that, absolutely. But if I bring a robot that has some of those skills, how much faster can I get it deployed?
Right.
When you talk about those reusable components or accelerators, it's almost in that kind of philosophy, right? It's just a shorter wrap time.
And you don't expect a clinician or a nurse to be 100% perfect in everything they do all along the way. So there's a huge quality issue there as well.
Absolutely. And it's interesting when you talk about accelerators and how that comes into things like pointed solutions. I know you had some time to walk the floor at HIMSS. Just some thoughts of what you're seeing there. I mean, this is the future of work. There's a lot of trends. There's the interoperability suite. There's the main hall. A lot of people didn't come this year, but there's a lot of organizations that did come this year.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you've talked to a lot of them. We do have customers that came through, other partners. So what are some of the trends that you're hearing?
First of all, the conference is fantastic, as always. I mean, I'm just always amazed every time at the amount of technology and thought leadership and even passion that comes to these things. Yeah, it really is fantastic. As far as this year, I would say definitely an overwhelming focus on consumerism and patient experience, and that's fantastic. I'm very, very glad to see that. I was hoping to see more around the clinical space. It's not quite there yet, as you and I have discussed for a while. And you and I are working on trying to improve that, but it is a topic. And even though it's not heavily represented, there is a lot of conversation and questions about that. Yeah. So that's very encouraging, because I think that's a place that's very underserved in healthcare. And back to the consumerism, a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of just fantastic stuff. The technology is absolutely there to where a huge difference can be made. The one thing I continue to notice is that a lot of what I'm seeing is point solution. It's like, here, we'll automate this one piece, when the true patient experience needs to be seamless end to end. The patient needs to feel that constant touch and care all throughout, through pre-treatment, through diagnosis and treatment, and through post-treatment. It needs to be very seamless, and it absolutely can be. And patients shouldn't feel stuck or lost when they finish with their primary and they go to a specialist, and then they talk to a post-care treatment, there should not be gaps in there, and with these solutions there still are. So
Right.
what we're doing is working to say, okay, what's that bigger picture? What is that patient path, and how do we do that seamless automation? And it's not always automation. Sometimes it's the data, sometimes it's machine learning,
Right.
sometimes it's just changes in the manual processes that the providers do.
I think that's an important part. It's almost like the Lego kit, right?
Mhm.
And I've had a lot of conversations with vendors this week about that. They're like, oh, you have to follow the data. You have to
Mhm.
follow the data. That's how you integrate. But they're not thinking about what it's integrating to and how it all comes together. And most of those APIs are out, not in, especially when it comes to EMRs. So there's still a very EMR-focused transformation out there, like you said,
Mhm.
consumerism and patient journey. So they're starting at the EMR and then working outside of it and bolting on.
Mhm.
And
Right.
to your point, that gets heavy and becomes disconnected because now those systems
becomes
run
fragile
through-
too.
It becomes fragile. Each one of those organizations are responsible for their own product.
Mhm.
And I realize a lot of people are moving to hyperscale and looking at big cloud, and they're putting that down as the infrastructure, then putting the EMR into it and saying, well, just connect all that way, and all my data is available.
Mhm.
But it's a 20-year process to get them there.
Mhm.
So when I have those conversations and I tell them about what we do, right? It's amazing because they say, oh, well, the nurse will do that.
Mhm.
Or the
Right.
administration will do that. We do the front end, they'll do the back end.
Yeah.
And, when we talk, it's, all right, well, you create a pointed solution that gives people more work to do. Why don't you think about
sometimes,
automating
yeah.
at the end? I've done more conversations this week about how to help other technology vendors expand their value story
Mhm.
than ever before. I mean, we have them stopping in, they're like, I was told I have to talk to you. So
Yep.
to your point, I'm seeing that.
Yep.
And it's not concerning. I actually think it's exciting.
Mhm.
2 years ago, there wasn't even a way of describing
We were
this
still
level of
educating
technology.
people 2 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
So it's getting there. It's
Yeah.
getting there is my point. It's not a technology problem.
Mhm.
It's a value problem
Right.
and an education problem.
Exactly.
So it's all change management.
Yes.
So as long as we educate, I'm excited to see what happens at the next HIMSS.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we're making a lot of progress between now and then. Did you want to mention kayak?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Yeah,
I think
please
that's
go
one
ahead.
of the catalysts that's going to help
Yeah.
things.
I think that's the piece, right? We're
Yeah.
better together.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be automation. And, Ashling Partners was nice enough to be the conduit
Mhm.
of user group kayak. Do you
Mhm.
want to give the acronym?
Yeah, I guess we probably better. They'll think it's the
Yeah, the
hotel,
boat, right?
place
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
boat or something. So kayak is CIAC, and that stands for Clinical Intelligent Automation Council. It's something that Jason and I have been talking about for a while. We finally got to the point where we had the bandwidth and we had the backing of our organizations to say, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. And so we have a group of industry experts, and this is specifically in the clinical space. So we have chief medical officers, chief nursing officers. We have some analytics officers. These are key people within the industry that understand what the problems and challenges are and are open and willing to say, okay, let's put together some solutions around this.
Yep.
And with Jason, what Jason and I do together, it's we have the council meet. We meet quarterly. That's open to the public. We just had one several weeks ago, and then we came out of that within the clinical space. We came out with 17 different automation solutions. When I say automation, intelligent automation, it means it's got AI and machine learning and everything else built
Everything
into
connected.
it. We narrowed that down. We've got 3 identified. We're going to do design work on this quarter, and then another 4 we'll do in Q4. So the whole goal of this is to bring a group together that can provide the thought leadership and the expertise to say, this is what the industry needs. Let's go build it and just do it. And we want to do it centrally with a lot of input and then roll it out to the rest of the industry, because we feel like this is almost like a grassroots effort that's going to help move the needle in that spot.
You're right, Jeff. And it's really the move the needle. We do a lot of talking, but we're action-oriented people.
Exactly.
So we wanted to give them a safe place that they can talk, and then we could take action.
Because there are a lot of things in there that are just like, oh, yeah, that'd be fantastic, but man, that's going to be a heavy lift.
Yeah.
Let's start with
that's right.
some other things first. And so anyway, so that's kayak, and we are looking for new members. We've almost doubled in size since we even started, so it's been getting some great visibility.
Terrific. So Jeff, I think we're at time. I think we have to actually go on the floor for the next keynote.
Yep.
thank you so much for taking the time out.
No,
and
thank
having
you.
a great
Again,
conversation. Appreciate your insights
Yeah, anytime.
and work, and definitely look forward to talking to the audience in the future. And we'll hit you next time at HIMSS.
Yep, sounds great.